Okay, let's get analysis now from Swaran Singh, Professor of International Relations at Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. And it's great to have you with us. The president seems to have control of the army. The army seems to have control of the country. So why is the president engaging in talks with the protest leaders? Have they got such strength at this point that they get to have a voice in the future of Nepalese politics?
Thank you. Very clearly, the way protests have unfolded, it was not possible for either police or armed forces to ensure basic law and order across the country, which has led to resignation of the government, which means that any new formation that takes place now will have to take the views of protesters. They apparently initially looked leaderless, but apparently now they have some clearly visible voices from their side. And of course, on social media, they have also been voicing their opinion as to who should be leading the country until elections are called and conducted. And there are various names, as you were just discussing before I came on your screen. Various names are there, but the difficulty is that the Constitution of 2015 does not have any provisions for anyone other than elected representative of parliament to become the caretaker head of the government or prime minister. So it's going to be little unprecedented that someone from outside, various names that are in play right now, are not from those who are members of parliament. And they are either a former chief justice. There is another one who's a mayor of Kathmandu city. There is another member of parliament who is already disqualified as a member of parliament. So it's going to be little complex choice to make as to how to ensure an interim government. And let me also underline, historically, Nepal has faced several similar situations when either the kings have dismissed the government in place or the kings have fled the country. Army has never, in case of Nepal, directly taken over power, though it has enormously contributed to ensuring stability during those difficult times. I assume army is playing once again the same role, where president, along with the chief of army staff, is exploring possibilities of who could be the interim head of the government. But of course, there are also concerns because example of Bangladesh is very clear, and the head of interim government in Bangladesh has taken inordinately long time to call for elections. I hope Nepal will not see that kind of situation, and only solution is early elections, because one after another parliaments in Nepal have had fractured mandate, and Nepal has not had any experience in last 2 decades of having a clear mandate to one political party and one leader. And that has created a situation of enormous political instability leading to economic deceleration. And social media there spreading all kinds of right and wrong information to young people has created enormous anxiety and anger on the ground, which has busted in last 3 days, as we have noticed. Very unlike any other incidents in South Asia, a similar protest in Sri Lanka took 4 months for the government to fall. It took only 3 weeks in case of Bangladesh, and in less than 3 days, on second day only in Nepal, we saw the government falling. So that, I think, is also a larger trend of youth becoming extremely active and sometimes also disruptive, which is something that the future governments in several countries will have to look at as to how to deal with that reality of disruption of this nature, where there is enormous death and destruction across the country. No one feels safe. One former prime minister's wife has been burnt. Several politicians have been injured. I'm talking of senior politicians, houses being burnt, and so on. So this kind of lawlessness, which in case of Nepal is a reality every 6, 7, 10 years, is something which is a long-term challenge to the political elite in Nepal. Right now, I think we need to have a consensus, which is very difficult to make because even within the Gen Z, there were factional fights as to who they want to recommend to be the head of interim government. It's a
And Swaran, if
difficult
I can just
exercise.
interject, because we're running a little bit short on time, so if I can just ask you quickly. I mean, I think it's easy to kind of unite, for people to unite on things they don't like. And that's clearly what happened here. People came together, and especially when things got violent, it was clear they didn't want these things. It's very different to then be constructive as a protest group. And we even saw today scuffles among the protesters. So have they served their purpose now? They made it clear what they didn't want, but
That
actually it's not practical to have them now governing in some way.
Absolutely, and that is a problem one after another countries have revealed, where these sudden eruption of protests right now also happening in France, for example, they all have grievances, they have complaints, and they know what need not be done. But once the government falls, they have no clear strategy, no clear leadership to actually outline where they want to take the country and how they want to take the country in that direction. And invariably, we notice also that the old guard sooner or later again comes to occupy the central position and power. And the grievances therefore come back again after some time. And that's why there is no solution. And repeatedly, we see these disruptions and instabilities happening again and again. Even now, the names that are in circulation, there are some names of younger people. For example, the head of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party is a younger politician who had launched his party just few months before the last election of November 2022 and emerged as fourth largest party. Mayor of Kathmandu is another young man who's a civil engineer and a rapper. So there are some names of younger people who would like to change the leadership. We saw the way it happened in Sri Lanka. Desanayake was a young man who was not kind of considered to take over as president of Sri Lanka, but all the senior politicians were defeated in elections in Sri Lanka. That's a possibility that the younger leadership could emerge and take over positions of power in case either in terms of how interim government is thought of or how post elections the new leadership emerges. But right now, we also have Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, who is 73-year-old, first woman Chief Justice of Nepal, which would fall in that senior old guard kind of a reality. Her name also is among the front runners for the interim government. So I think it's a very complex exercise at this stage as to who will the consensus support and how to make that consensus to make sure there is an interim government in place and elections to be called as soon as possible so that a clear mandate can be given to a particular political party or leader to come in command of how to move into future as far as Nepal is concerned.
Yeah, the old guard, but some, as you said, some new faces possibly in contention. Interesting to see where this goes. Appreciate your analysis. Swaran Singh is my guest, Professor of International Relations at Jawaharlal Nehru University.